excited about this, Kathy. I'm glad you're willing to do this because it's pretty interesting to me. I learn something new every time we talk. This Trail of the Painted Pony thing is quite a project that's been going on for several years. And you were a big part of it. In fact, the horse right behind me is called Horse Feathers, and that was your first one, was it? Wasn't it, Kathy?
That was my first one.
First full size.
Yeah. And behind me is Good Medicine, and that was my third life-size pony. Kind of an accident. I found that horse tied up on a light pole in the middle of downtown Las Cruces, and he was a mess. I'll be showing you all about how he was restored and how I came about getting him. And then there's a third one, Give Me Wings, and that is owned by a bank here in Las Cruces.
Yeah, I love all three of them.
Yeah.
Great work.
Yeah. My favorite is the one nibbling on your shoulder, Lynn.
Yeah, I forgot to bring my apple. I was going to share an apple with you. But the good things about these is you don't have to feed them very often, and therefore you clean up after them eat.
You don't have to muck a stall. That's nice.
Never had a vet bill either, so that's good.
No horseshoes. Journey on the Trail of the Painted Ponies continues because they're not finished, and they are now located in Scottsdale, but they started in New Mexico as a public arts project for the state of New Mexico. I did 3 horses for the Trail of Painted Ponies. This is Give Me Wings, and this is Horse Feathers. That was behind Lynn, and behind me is Good Medicine. The first book that came out for the Trail of the Painted Ponies came out just in time for a big gala party where all the artists gathered with all the life-size horses for the first year in 2000. And we had a book signing. So it was like high school with yearbooks, and everybody was signing everybody's pony on their pages. And we had a lot of fun. And we got to see all 120 horses in one place at a facility in Santa Fe. This is Sea Spot Run, and it was the inspiration for Horse Feathers. You can see the big feather and the 4 running horses. I was having dinner with some other artists in Indio, California. We were talking about this public arts project that we'd heard about. And I said, yeah, I've already got an idea for it. I'm going to get started on something and maybe send in an application. This is what the large life-size horses look like before the artist got a hold of them. There's a trailer load of them going out, and they were delivered to each artist. And this was a drawing that I did as a proposal for Horse Feathers. And you can see how I used the feather idea and the paint horse, but of course the paint horse was going to be the whole life-size horse. I had to find a sponsor, and what would happen with this program is that the sponsor paid $5,000 to sponsor a horse, and they got to have the life-size horse at their business or at a location like the airport or a mall with a plaque with their name on it for the entire summer from May into the fall. They also got to choose a New Mexico nonprofit charity to benefit from the auction of the horse. And the artist got some money as a stipend just to cover materials and transportation of these large horses. And these are my sponsors, Ken and Barbara Hummel. And they were in Old Town in Albuquerque. And this is a t-shirt shop, Old Town Emporium. We had a tent set up in front of the t-shirt shop with my horse inside, and we roped around there with signs reminding people that was wet paint and not to touch. But we got quite a nice crowd. The first few days I didn't work there. I worked in Ken and Barbara's garage sanding. The people who did the casting, the ABC molding, told me to sand it very thoroughly. Sand it, and there's kind of a creamy texture, and when you get to a white, then it's sanded enough. You're trying to get the mold release off. They spray the inside of the mold with a release so that the sections will come out without sticking. And this is me after the sanding, priming. I probably spent 20 hours sanding. I've sketched out my artwork on the horse, and I sculpted 7 feathers in a resin clay that was the same type of resin in the casting. I bought that from the molding company. You can now buy that clay online. It's called Magic Sculpt. And I've started my painting. Some detail there. Notice the eyes are painted on, not sculpted on. Later on, I did some horses. I used a sculpting technique in the resin to do that. Every day out there in the tent from sun up to sundown, lots of people came by to watch. The first day I was working with this paint called One Shot, and I was really having a difficult time with it. And I mean, in the first hour of the first day, a man came by and he said, "I'm a sign painter. What are you using?" And I said, "One Shot." And he said, "There's a certain material that you need to have to allow this paint to flow smoothly across." And he came back within a half an hour with a can of solvent, basically, for the paint. I wouldn't have gotten very far. I'd never used One Shot before, and it was one of those small, sweet miracles. I was able to continue painting, and everything was really smooth. This is Rod Barker. He's the director of Trail of the Painted Ponies, and it was his idea to create this concept, a merge of artists, business, and charities. They actually ended up giving 80% of the sale of the horses to charity. The mounted police came by. I was just about finished, so we took a picture. Unfortunately, back in those days, the cameras for digital weren't as good as they are now, but that was the best we could do. And here's the horse finished, giving you a view of it all the way around. There was a TV camera behind there. The detail of the tail, I went out to a ranch, Larrabee Ranch in north of Albuquerque, Rio Rancho. And they raise Appaloosa horses, show horses. And so I got a lot of information, photographs. My horse is kind of a conglomerate of many horses, little bits and pieces that I liked of the markings of different horses. They were so sweet and friendly. That was the Larrabee Ranch. Give Me Wings, my second horse. This is a patriotic piece. 9/11 had occurred, and I did this piece in inspiration for 9/11 and wrote a poem that goes down the neck of the horse and down the back of the body. I will not forget those who sacrificed on the altar of freedom. Precious freedom, give me wings to soar above the stars and touch the sky. Third book out, or second book out, I guess, and Give Me Wings is in the book. This is not my life-size horse, which was not a running horse. This is a maquette, a smaller version that we also were able to paint. And here's my paper rendering of Give Me Wings. The people who bought horse feathers at High Desert State Bank won it in the auction, and they sponsored Give Me Wings. So I had a second sponsor, was the people who owned horse feathers. starting Give Me Wings. Lots of sanding. You saw back there, a lot of help sanding. We loaded up Give Me Wings and decided I would do some of it, paint some of it in public in the lobby, the entrance to the lobby of the bank. And so we set up down there at High Desert State Bank. And I worked for a couple of days, but this paint is very strong. And outside in a tent was one thing, but in confinement in a building, it was overpowering. And so the horse was moved back to my house with fans and windows open, let a lot of air in. That, I think, was the last day at the bank. Here's the two horses. Give Me Wings isn't finished, but High Desert was there. Of course, they own it. And we took a picture of them together. This is Give Me Wings done. I'm going to give you a 360 view. Oh, a close up. 10 years have gone by. Horse feathers came back to me because the bank changed ownership, and some of the art that had been collected by the bank was auctioned. And I was able to win horse feathers at an auction. I was so happy. There she is. We wrapped her up. We move these horses quite a bit sometimes, and we put her in the back of my truck, loaded her up, tied her down. This is my grandchildren helping me unwrap, Nikki and Quinn. Getting all the blankets off. And I'm now getting a chance to really take a close look at her. One of the feathers was broken. No problem, I'm gonna fix that. Just build a new feather. I had the two feathers painted on the base. I thought the base needed refreshing. I'll show you, see how chewed up it was from being moved around in different locations, and people just not being careful of it. So I decided I was going to redo the base, and I didn't like the black. I was changing the black to sort of a maroon color, and picked up this molding to make a trim that would go all around the base. And I used my paint and a sponging technique to create the look of a turquoise stone. It looked really nice, very finished look to it. Made new feathers. I also added the chamois and bone and trade beads and puka shells to decorate the feathers. And here is horse feathers in a 360 view. So I got her all finished and wrapped up, and she's going off over the mountain, down into the basin, and up another mountain to Tanner Tradition in Ruidoso. There's Kathy Tanner up front. You can always tell where the gallery is. The first thing you see is this beautiful Apache basket made out of a satellite dish. It's kind of their how you find them quickly. And there's Kathy and Lynn and horse feathers and the 3 puppies, the gallery dogs that will greet you when you come in. Here's Good Medicine. Good Medicine was the 3rd horse I painted. This is the one that I found. I had actually done proposal of good medicine, but we didn't find a sponsor for it. I ended up making a maquette design of it, but I liked that proposal and really wished I could do it on life-size horse. So I'm driving down the main street of Las Cruces, and lo and behold, there is, tied to a pole with a piece of twine, Trail of the Painted Ponies, life-size running horse. The little ceramic shop back in here is the owners of it. I walked in and talked to him a little bit about it. And let's just say I made him an offer he couldn't refuse. And I got to take her home and get started on working on her. I put the tail in place for this picture, but it actually is totally broken off. And I'm going to show that to you. Oh, I called her the crime scene pony. Everybody who had had their hands on this pony had painted it. So there were 4 layers of painting on the pony as I started sanding. This is the tail. There was a pipe going through it, and they were trying to glue it with all kinds of strange adhesives. And the glue is running down the leg, and they stuffed it full of old shirts. And this is the tail, stuffed with shirts and glue. I put it together, and I'm going to tell you how, but this is the steel bar was put inside. And what I did is I cut a hole in the belly, a large enough hole for me to get my head and shoulders into the area at the back, and begin building an inside brace using resin clay and wood. We cut a hole where that steel pole would go through, and it was threaded, so we threaded a bolt on it. And then we reinforced underneath. I reinforced all of the layers of the rear end so that they were nice and thick and sturdy. And there's the tail restored. And you can see that line under there where I restored the hole that I cut and put all that back in place again. Sanding the base, getting the design off. Here's my supervisor, Bandit. I'm priming, but I'm not priming the face because I decided I was going to go ahead and do some sculpting there. This is the feathers. I've actually been using an aluminum sheeting for my feathers and cutting it. This has made them much sturdier, more stable than what I did in 2000 with the first feathers. Attaching the feathers to the butt and to the tail. Also reinforcing that tail, sculpting the detail. This is the resin clay called Magic Sculpt. It hardens to like marble in about 4 to 5 hours. So there's different times where you can do different things with it. This is the early stage where it's soft, and then you can actually sand it and grind it and drill it. Do things like that with it if you need to. I'm making the eyes. This horse needs eyes. I'm going to make eyes. I'm using the clay and forming some eyelashes. And that's the eyes primed, painting the eye. I'm working in my house on this one. Lots of windows, doors open, fans on. And this is the horse in my living room. This is the horse that's behind me here in the presentation. The 4 nations of man, the red horse, the body, yellow, black, and white. All of these horses belong to friends of mine. And here's a 360 of good medicine. We have Trail of the Painted Ponies started offering small figurines that you could paint yourself and paint your own pony kit. And I purchased some of these kits and used my Magic Sculpt to sculpt designs and re-engineer the horse. This one was called And Illusion Pony. There is an illusion in the stars. I'll see if I can point that out to you. Getting the stars ready, sculpting the mane. You notice the long tail now instead of the short one. I did an illusion on the base where I painted a checker design, and the checkers are very straight and carefully painted. But when these Swarovski crystals were placed on it in a particular pattern, that area looks like a dome. It looks like it's raised up and the lines are bent on it. I'm not sure it shows up well in the photograph, but when you see it in person, it looks like a raised dome just in the area, and only because of the unusual placement of those dots. Circles and stare at it, you will get a feeling that the others are rotating slowly. Stare at one, stare at the center one. Ones on the side might have a sensation of movement. It's from the top down. Apache Spirit Basket Pony. This may be the most intricate, time-consuming pony of all of the small ponies that I made. I was working with the inspiration of the Apache burden basket. So I started by making a basket texture on the body of the horse. This is one of my baskets from my collection. I started collecting these from the reservation. I grew up on San Carlos Apache Reservation. I bought my first one when I was 9 years old. And I have quite a few of them here in the house. So making the texture of the basket, gradually building. I'd also sculpted an eye for this horse. Now the basket's open so that I can slide it across the bottom of the feet. Painting, the underpainting, and then painting the top. I'm going the wrong way, sorry about that. Okay, here we go. So now I've painted the body, doing the underpainting, and then I'll paint the design on top. On a real Apache burden basket, there is a design, and the pattern on the inside and the outside are opposite each other because they're using willow bark and twisting it. The inside of the bark is light and the outside is dark. And as they weave in and twist and weave out, the pattern can change colors. And so in painting this, I painted the inside pattern opposite the outside pattern, just like a real basket. Now I've got the basket on the base with the feet inside, and I'm gonna use clay and fill that all in, texture it, paint it. That's real leather for the chamois and the real jingles. But this leather going around the edge of the basket, that's clay. This is one of those pieces I say a crazy lady made. As I got into it, I realized it was really going to be real time consuming, but I was fascinated with the challenge. Apache Mountain Spirit Dancer. The San Carlos Reservation and some of the other Apache reservations, there are crown dancers in the ceremony for girls, the coming out ceremony for their age, coming of age. And this is the crowns from the crown dancer. Painting the dancers, there's 4 dancers, and then 1 down at the bottom. Dancing in the fire, around the fire. I wanted to put the skirting on like the dancers wear on the horse, so I did put skirting around there and little tiny jingles. Buffalo Soldier pony, inspired by a friend of mine who's a Buffalo Soldier and gave me a lot of information about McClellan saddle and the tack and all the things that Buffalo Soldiers used to in the mid 1800s, 1866, around that time. The rope, cup, bedroll, canteen, all sculpted in the clay. And this is my friend's horse, Ghost. And there's Don Parrish with Ghost. And this is the finished, painted sculpture. Buffalo Soldier pony. The Dark Horse, this actually is an available piece. It is the Triple Crown winner, and I call it the Dark Horse, it's reference to the horse most likely not to win. And I put the number 8 on for behind the 8 ball. So I started by building the saddle, and I created eyes for this horse. The Triple Crown at the base and beginning to put the blanket of flowers across the shoulders. Carnations, black-eyed Susans and roses for each of the races. And 1 of each of the flowers down on the base with the crown. Beginning to paint the undercoat of the flowers. Layering the lighter colors on top. And here is the Dark Horse finished. This horse is available. 27 of these horses. I only have, I think I have 4 available. And Illusion is available, and this one. Father Sky, Mother Earth. Drawing in pencil, sketching out a buffalo skull on the rear end. Here's Mother Earth. She's holding a clay jar. She's releasing the animals. Big mammals, little mammals, slithering animals, flying animals. Father Sky is holding the sun with an eagle behind him. A little dragonfly, water snake, and the skull with the feathers. Going home. So Appaloosa horse, he's been marked by his owner, but he's riderless and riding home. He's riding through a red-tailed hawk feather. There's a red-tailed hawk feather on the base. And the horse is painted to give him strength. The ownership of the man that was on the horse. The circle around the eye for good vision, stronger vision. Coup marks on the nose for victories. On Gossamer Wings pony, there actually were 2 of these. I'll show you both together at the end. I sculpted this as a proposal to Trail of the Painted Ponies. This is my friend Stormy. She's was modeling for that horse design and many other paintings that I've done. So this was the piece that I created to be possibly considered for a figurine. It wasn't chosen, but it was chosen and purchased by some people in Albuquerque, and they actually bought both of the horses. So this one, you notice that the butterfly wings are not undercut, so they could be cast. And the other one that I did was much more free off the body and would not have been able to be cast, but this one would have. She's blowing on a giant dandelion, and the umbels of the dandelion are turning into butterflies. And then as they go around to the other side, they become a woman who is a butterfly. The woman creates the butterflies, and the butterflies become a woman. And here's the one that's more free, where the butterflies are beautiful, but they wouldn't be able to cast it. So you can see the difference in the wings, and this one would have been able to be cast if they'd chosen it. Hi-ho, silver bells. The music is Swarovski crystals. Started out sketching. The clay I used to make the bells and the ribbons and the eye. Hi-ho, silver bells. Road to Bethlehem. There's Mary and Joseph, some palm trees, a little sketch of Bethlehem in the distance and the star on the body. painted Swarovski crystals. Here's the wise men on the other side, headed to Bethlehem. This is the front, the chest of the horse with the little shepherd boy and the sheep looking at the star. And the road is cobbled. Hide and seek. I submitted this pony for consideration from Trail. When Trail moved out of New Mexico, they moved to Scottsdale and opened up to the world for submissions. So going from just New Mexico artists to anybody all over the world that wanted to apply. And getting chosen got much more difficult, but I still continued painting these ponies and selling them to people, and sometimes taking commissions from people about some subject matter that they wished I would do as a pony. So there's the acorn and the oak leaf, and we've got a squirrel on one side and a chipmunk on the other, and lots of leaves and acorns and beautiful fall colors. I'll show you the design proposals that I submitted to Trail. Okay, so that was the squirrel side, just painting my idea, and the chipmunk side. Mustang Sally pony. Got some friends who have Mustangs, vintage, beautiful cars, and I decided we would do the cars on the pony and Mustangs in the clouds. So you can see the horses, the heads of the horses in the cloud. Started with a sketch. The logo there. This pony was purchased by Mustang Express in El Paso, and I'm going to show you a commission piece right after this. There's my horses in the clouds. Beautiful Mustangs. And here it is finished. Give you that 360 turn. It's funny to watch the way the cars change and undulate with the curves of the horse. This is Mustang Express. The people who bought Mustang Sally Pony, own a trucking company with some beautiful Volvo trucks that do shipping, Mustang Express in El Paso, Texas. And this is one of their trucks. I went down there and photographed the truck, front and back. The logo, this is the logo on the side of their truck. Put a star up on the mane. On the Franklin Mountains, they have a star, and it's lit up at night. It's become kind of a brand of El Paso. So I sketched the truck on there and the star, and starting the painting. And the city lights in the background. And can see it from all sides. The Purple Heart Pony. This was a commission. The parents of the young man that got the Purple Heart wanted to know if I would do a Purple Heart pony. And this is what I came up with. The front of the Purple Heart on one side and what would look like the back on the other side. That ribbon is sculpted, cutting all the texture of the ribbon, the olive branch. Oops, going too fast. And that's the back of the pony. Okay, Queen of Denial. Oh, this was a great pony. I sure loved doing it. It was so sparkly. One of the Egyptian queens reaching out and petting her royal horse. I like the tail. We've got the raven on the tail. These big eyes. The eyes are sculpted on the horse and painted like the queen's eyes. And there she is down below on the base, riding her steed in her chariot. There's the pyramids in the background. And the sun. Lots of crystals on this one, very sparkly. Oops, too fast. The river dance pony. There's not much sculpting on this. I have the inspiration out at the Shear Ranch in South Dakota, the running horses that they run through the river every day, and photographed those, and then did river dance. The close-up of the horses, the splashes. This isn't sculpted, it's just painting to give the illusion of splashes. Summer Hummer, this was a commission. What I loved about this is the way the hummingbird's wings came together on the top. It looked like a Pegasus on the top down. And those are staghorn cholla flowers. This is my friend Don Parrish. I did this piece for him, his Tatanka Brothers, and he posed smoking a pipe. He said at the end of the day, the Buffalo Soldier's relaxation was a pipe. And so coming out of the pipe, I don't know if you can see it or not, but up the top of the pipe, the smoke is forming a buffalo. And the smoke is trailing around to the other side. And as it moves around, it's becoming buffalo. So the other side is a sculpture of the heads of two buffalo. The cross sabers are modeled after cross sabers that were on his hat. Those are not actual cross, the actual emblem is sculpted in clay to look like that. Tatanka Christmas. I have a painting called Tatanka Christmas, and I did the horse Tatanka Christmas. This is Jay in an old antique 1800s sleigh, cracking the whip and posing for me, and some buffalo at the 777 Ranch. Photographed those, some teepees. We put lanterns inside the teepee to light it up. And then here is Jay cracking his whip. Remember now, the contour of the horse deforms things, so it's hard to see it in the sense that of a flat painting. I have to work with the contours. So you can see one teepee is fitting around the throat of the horse, one around the shoulder. And there's Santa in the distance, the flying buffalo going across the moon. And here's Santa down in the snow leaving the village, buffalo leaving and going up over the moon. So this is one side. The children are pointing out to their mother the strange sight in the sky. And there's Santa driving his buffalo. The chief pony. This was an interesting piece. I actually used a model for this. The horse chief is, well, this is young chief. He is belongs to Chief David Bald Eagle, and our friend Thomas was playing with him, and this is not a real eagle feather bonnet. It was one of the simulations. So I used my aluminum sheeting to cut the forms of the feathers and spread them out and twist them. And then I started putting clay on, inside and outside, shaping and carving and shaping there. There's Chief again. I decided I wanted real beadwork on the headband at the top. And in the scale this small, I was going to have to use very tiny beads. So I ordered some beads, and they were 22 is the number, which means 22 beads per inch. And an average beaded design would be about 11 or 12 beads per inch. Here's the feather. See the blank area up there? This is the red felt coming down, and then the blank area is going to have beads. These are the beads. There's a special needle and a special thread. The needle's about the size of a hair. It's all very to scale. I'm pushing the beads up in the loom and looming the design. And there it is on the horse, on the headband. Ursa's pony. This was a commission, a woman who really loved bears. And so I put the bears on the pony and a bear fetish on one side. And this is the Big Dipper up at the top in Swarovski crystals. It's a bear fetish before it was painted. And then the Big Dipper and Little Dipper at the bottom. And the other side was a bear paw. This bear is being treated, so he's drugged out right now. He's not dead. My friend Kathleen takes care of bears. She's a wildlife veterinarian. And we got a great picture of the underneath of the paw. And there's a paw print on the forehead. So here's the 360 of Ursa's pony. This was a commission. I do commissions. I have a few blank ponies left to do that. One Horse Feathers was made into a figurine. There was already a figurine called Horse Feathers, so this was named High Desert Horse Feathers after the bank. And this is the figurine. I go over it with paint and really doll it up. This is before it was painted. And I start going in and painting, opening up the blaze wider, more detail on the ears, the eyes, the nose. I try to make the little figurine look more like the original life-size pony than it did coming from the factory. So pretty much going over the whole area and painting in the detail that's missing. Flutterby. This is not a Trail of the Painted Ponies horse. This is a cast aluminum horse that I found at a store, a garden store in El Paso, or on the way to El Paso. It is a pretty good size pony. It's life size, full. Lots of work on this one, carving and placing butterflies, sanding, grinding, filling. It's aluminum, so it's not soft like the resin where I can do it more easily. Now that's an aluminum primer, and I'm painting. I didn't have to sculpt eyes, they were already there. Putting on a butterfly mask, giant butterfly wings. And this is some decoration I put around the chest and a belly band around the whole horse. My husband made a beautiful base for me out of oak, and I painted it. And this is the band going around the chest and around the belly. This artwork sold, resides in Dallas now. Give Me Little Wings. This is a small version of Give Me Wings using one of the cult forms. There's the form. And my grandchildren visiting me for the summer, and we're sanding and filling and getting it ready to paint. And Ed made another base out of oak, painted the stars on it. The base has rollers that can be moved around easily, but they also have a lock that can be locked into place. And I made a blanket for it. Give Me Little Wings. Little Wings found a home in outside of Fort Worth, Texas. And here are Kathy and Lynn Tanner standing in front of their beautiful Apache basket painted on a satellite dish. And inside the gallery, I hope you get a chance to come and visit the gallery if you've never seen it. And I thank you very much. That is the end of my presentation.